Hello everyone. Today I'm going to give you a little software tip on how to get the most out of your sheets of material that you're using. And this will apply to a lot of different industries or different type of things you might be doing. In my case, I'm doing polycarbonate or Lexan. The true Lexan material is what I use. I don't use any off-brand stuff. I use the actual trademarked Lexan material. It has grain options in it if you're doing wood, so you can cut your pieces out according to the grain of the wood. And to be honest, there is grain in Lexan and polycarbonate. Most people don't really realize that, but that's how it's extruded out of the machine, gives it a grain to it, and that can actually affect how things form. Maybe not so much in the thin material that I'm running in or you might be running in, but it can cause issues if you don't watch it carefully. So this program does have some options. I've already set some of them up. If you go up to the gear in the corner, there is generic for units. I changed the decimal places to 3. This optimization priority thing seems to not really make any big difference. But yeah, the units you can change the stuff. I just use generic decimal points for stuff, so it's not that big of a deal. I can go back and forth between metric and inches without any issue and not have to change this at all. So I just use inches with decimal points and everything. No fractional numbers. So we hit OK there. Now, this program is free, or this website is free. There are programs out there that are way more advanced than this that you could import from, say, something like SketchUp, curved pieces, and then export out a path. Maybe you might import into another program to do CNC router cuts out of, say, a big sheet of wood. This program, of course, doesn't really have that kind of flexibility. It's just square shapes or rectangular shapes only. But the price is right. And if they had a tip thing here somewhere, which I haven't discovered there's one, at least not the last time I used it. There is now. There's a contribute option. I swear I did not see that there before. But I should make a contribution there before. Maybe I was just blind, but I'd love to make a contribution. I only need it like once or twice a year, but it does help me, and I'd love to help the author of this software out. And if you use it, think about doing that yourself, because someone's spending some time doing this, plus hosting fees on the internet on a web server to do it, and server time, because this is doing some calculation as well. So some computer somewhere's got to do some math. So help the guy out, give him a few bucks. I think you can also get maybe an Android version or something like that. I saw about this possibly. I don't know that there's an iOS stuff, but there are other programs out there for Android and iOS that do similar things. Okay, now that I've done that rant about paying for it, I actually looked up what it takes to contribute, and it's free to do like 20 some transactions a day or calculations a day, which maybe that's something recent too, because I've done more than that when I first started messing with this. But they have 2 different, like a gold and a silver plan or something like that, and have different unlimited calculations and stuff like that. But the minimum fee is $15 a month subscription. So that gets me a little bit off my high horse and says, I've contacted the author and I haven't gotten a response back about trying to just do a one-time donation, because if you only need it once or twice a year, it's no point in trying to do a subscription, which you have to then manually go into PayPal and unsubscribe from. I'd love to do just a one-time, $20 and say, all right, I'm going to use it once or twice a year, and I won't feel bad about it then, and I'll feel good that I contributed. But this software is not worth $15 a month, and definitely not worth $20 a month if you're only using it at most once or twice a year for just, maybe a day. If you're using this every day, maybe $15 a month is okay. Even then, that's a stretch. There's a lot of more useful programs out there that exist today in an iPad and iOS and stuff like that have a subscription and cost much less than $15 a month. This is one of those where, unless he's going to be or she's going to be making a lot of significant improvements on this program in the near future, there's no way I would ever consider paying $15 a month for this. So anyway, I'll get on to it now. Here is the stock sheet size. So this is where you put in the main sheet that you're going to be cutting everything out of. This is where you would put in the information. So you could put in, you just start typing in here, the dimensions. And since I'm using, decimal point numbers, no fractional inches, I'm going to put in there 96 inches for the sheet because that's 8 feet by 48 inches. That's 4 foot. But that's nominal width and length of a polycarbonate sheet. You can usually actually get a little bit more out of that. So we're going to go 49 and 96 because I don't remember the exact number that you can in inches you get out of there, but we'll just kind of guess at that so that gets us closer. So that's something to be aware of because that can be the situation also with a sheet of plywood or MDF or something like that. You might be able to get a little bit more out of it than you think because it's not truly 8 foot by 4 foot. So now the sheet sizes, I'm just going to come up with one because I don't remember them all off the top of my head. I'm just going to kind of put some general guesses in here. We'll say, I don't know, 21 in there, just 12 and a 20 and reverse it. And then let's see something larger. We'll say 14 by 22 maybe. And then let's get some small stuff in there. Like, for example, in my case, might be wings or gear covers. And we'll say, well, let's do some decimal points in here so it kind of messes with it a little bit. Let's go 6.5. And actually, let's do the same thing up here. Let's say 22.25. And then 6.5 and I don't know, let's say 8. And then 6.75 and 12 we'll put in there. I usually, for my stuff, when I set up a machine, I usually try and do quarters of an inch or half an inch or something like that. I don't go down to like an eighth of an inch for the sheet sizes and the frame size that I'm using. I try and keep it easier to figure out and calculate. And then let's do one big one in here. Let's say 17 by 23. All right. So then you're going to put in the quantities that you want to get out of that main sheet that you're starting with. And we're going to say we have one sheet to work with. There's ways to mess with this. You can say, what is it? Use only one sheet from stock, but since we only have one sheet from stock, that should be fine. I'm not sure what the edge banding is going to do. The cut blade. So if you're cutting this stuff, like if this was wood, you could also be cutting polycarbonate, which makes a real mess. I use a vinyl cutter, air-powered vinyl cutter shears off my air compressor. That does a really good job. You don't have to worry about the thickness of your cut. So if you have a blade like a radial arm saw or a table saw or a bandsaw, you want to take into account the thickness of that blade for your overall sheet size because it's going to be eliminating some of that material then by cutting. There's the grain consideration that I was talking about. You can, put in the direction of the wood grain you might be wanting to do for your stuff. Now, up here, I'm going to put in the quantity. So we're going to say I want to get 10 out of this, and let's say 4 out of this, and 4 out of this, and 4 out of that, and 1 out of... No, let's say 2 out of this. Now, if I decide I really only want these certain sizes, and I want to, get 10 and maybe 5 of this as close as possible to getting some of this, and then some of these smaller ones to kind of fill in things, you can come in and uncheck a sheet size so that won't be calculated into what it can get out of a 8 foot by 4 foot or whatever size sheet you're telling it to calculate out of. So let's hit calculate and see what we get real quick here. And this can take a little time depending on what you put in for values. I might fast forward through this portion so you don't have to wait and see. Over here, as it's calculating, you can see what the total wasted area that it's figuring you're going to get if you use its pattern of cuts. I like to get at least 6% or lower out of it because I'm going to be cutting some of this material off anyway after forming because it's not, it's extra scrap plastic. So the better usage of plastic, I can get, I save a lot of money then. Now, this might take a little while. It's still chewing away at it. This might be a case where we want to put more smaller pieces in here or maybe a few more of these larger pieces, so it can calculate a little bit quicker because we only put 4 of these other ones. And as you can see, it got them in there pretty easy, and it got all of our smaller sheets in there. The only thing it didn't get in, of course, was the bigger sheet because we have that unchecked right here. So anytime you want to stop it calculating because you figure, well, that's probably the best it's going to do, I need to make some changes, just click on this with your mouse, and that'll stop the calculation. So let's come up here, and let's add 6 into here, 6 into here. And you can also use the arrows up and down. Let's put 12 into here. Now, one thing that is kind of annoying about this software is that there is no priority of sheets that you want to get or cuts that you want to get. It does not go in and say, yeah, you can't tell it, yeah, this is the main thing I want to get. And then after that, fill in with all the rest of whatever you can get in there. There is no way to do that. You have to kind of play with the quantities, and then maybe you might get closer to what you're looking for. So that is one thing that's kind of annoying about this. But, like I said, the price is right. It's basically free at this point if you're not paying that subscription fee. So let's try it again. And this is taking way longer than last time I used it. Hopefully it won't be that way for you. Maybe this thing's gotten more popular. I don't know. All right, look at this over here. Oh, we were at 4% for a moment. Now it's gone away. 7%. What happened to our 4%? Oh, there's 5%. I don't know if we should be able to get something more in here. What did we say? 6 and 6. Yeah, we should be able to at least get another one of these over here. Maybe it's just chewing on it because we told it. Oh no, we only told it 4 of these. Never mind. So if we told it another one of this, we might be able to get some more in there. So let's do that real quick. Let's put that in there. Tell it to recalculate again. And one thing I'll notice here in a moment I'll point out is it tells you what it can't fit in there based off of what it's giving you for results. It says, yeah, no, I couldn't fit this in there and I couldn't fit this in there and how many of them it couldn't fit in there. So that's kind of nice to know if you were trying to get 12, but it'll show you that it couldn't get it. So over here, 22 by 25 by 14, that second sheet over here, I said 6, it could only get 4. Oh, no, now it's changed to a different sheet size. It's that first sheet size. So instead of the 12, it's got 8 in there right now. And we're at 3%, which is pretty darn good. That's pretty good. I'm going to let this run for this video, and we're going to kind of stop. And let's just see if letting it run all this time, if it can actually come up with anything better than what it's currently at. I would think probably not. Oh, I was wrong. It did make a change, though. To be honest, I like that other calculation better for how the patterns of cuts were going to take place. This one is not as good. It's not as going to be quite as easy to cut it, I don't think, as that other one was. So that's one thing you want to be in consideration, take into consideration, is how easy cutting those sheets out is going to be. The least amount of cuts, the better. Which it still says, I think it said 30 before, but I don't know. 88, 93. All right, so there you go. There's its final result. Looks pretty good. Can't complain too much about that. Now that we got this, let's show kind of how it works with things over here. So over on the right, it shows you the cuts. And as you hover over them, it's going to show you, okay, it suggests you do that as a first cut, which to me, that is probably the best first cut to do. Then it shows you the next cut. That's probably not too bad, though I might do this cut just because working on the table and everything that I've got, this might be the next more logical thing to do with my space, to get these broken down into smaller sheets right away and then break them down into smaller sheets from there. That in my opinion is a better workflow than the way it's showing you. Don't take one small sheet off and then, because if you only have one work area to use this or to do this, it's better to get the bigger sheets kind of chunked down first and then take those and break them down a little bit further. So now this, like I said, this shows you what the widths and measurements are that you're going to cut out of it. You can change the font sizes. You can zoom in a little bit more. I take screenshots of this and get this information usually in the screenshot so I know. And then I print that out and I just have those in my shop and I just go, all right, today I need to cut out this. What's going to look like the best thing to do for me? Now, if you're in a hurry and you just need one particular sheet size, it might be better just to eliminate some of the smaller stuff and go, all right, what can I get at all these I need real quick? For me, I come to this when I want to build up inventory to have on hand, sitting on the shelves, ready to go to make whatever I need. Then I come to this. If I'm like desperately, oh, I need this many bodies of this right now, I'll probably ignore this sort of thing because this takes a lot longer to get all these cuts precisely done. So let's eliminate this real quick here. Get these out of here. Let's do it. See what it says for this. So we've got, what was it? It said 4 of those we couldn't get in there. So let's see what it can do if we eliminate those smaller ones. This is where it's going to become kind of interesting to see what happens based off the quantity you have in here. That's what I was talking about earlier. There isn't a way to tell it which is your priority thing you would like to have. So this can really change how it lays out stuff. All right. So it said this basically as good as it can get, 8%, which is not too bad. That's not too bad at all. What might be better is to jump this sheet now size up to 6, and I get better usage of it, or from 6 up to 8. So let's try that real quick. Over here, it still says we couldn't get 2 of these smaller sheets in. Let's see what happens if we tell it we want to get 8 of this other sheet in there. And there we go. That's looking a lot better. 5% usage. That would be acceptable to me if I was in a hurry. And it would leave me with a chunk of plastic that I could probably get these smaller things cut out of right there. Now, here's where it gets a little weird. Let's add these in and just see what happens. Does it keep this same shape and add the 2 in here, or maybe 3, whatever can fit in there? This is where you would think it would, and sometimes it doesn't. So let's see what happens. Let's go here. Let's just say we want to get 2 in there. What's it gonna do? That should fit in there just fine. Actually, we should be able to do this other one. Let's see. Let's do this one. Should be able to get that one in no problem. Hit calculate. What's it gonna do? This is really the thing that's annoying about this program in particular, but the price is right, is that it doesn't always do what you would think would be logical. And that's just, yeah, see, there we go. So that wasn't exactly what I expected. Oh, there we go. It did get the solution that I would rather have it use. So that's not too bad. That did a pretty good job there, fitting that 2 in. But let's bump it up to 4 in this one sheet size and see what happens. I'm going to guess it's going to start to get a little weird then. We're going to stop this because we know that's pretty good. 2%. That's really good. If you can get 2% out of it, that's really good. So if you're doing this sort of stuff in your garage, you may want to think about this before you make your frame for vacuum forming. Think about what the sheet sizes you're going to want to use so you can get the most out of your plastic that you're buying from whatever supplier. If you're buying a 4x4 sheet or 4x8 or even smaller, you want to get that frame size to something that's most efficient so you can get as many cut out of it as possible, but also not compromise your bodies and making them too thin. Don't forget that. All right, so let's bump this up to 4. Let's recalculate and see what happens. This may throw a wrench in the whole thing right here, where you'd think, well, I'm just giving it a bunch of numbers and it's going to give me the best results, and it may not give you the best results now compared to what we just had. I know I'm sniffling. I swear I don't have the coronavirus that I know of yet. Aha! There we go. That's what I was talking about. What's it doing? I don't like that at all. That's terrible. That's terrible to cut. That's terrible to look at. And it's not a very good use of space. Yeah, that's the major flaw with this thing. I don't understand the logic of it. Let's come up here. See, we're on least wasted area. Let's say least number of cuts. See if it makes a difference. I don't think it'll make a difference. I don't know why, but it won't. Let's see. Right now, total cuts 26. So let's see what it says this time. Ah, sign in. Now it wants me to create an account. Well, I don't think we've done 20 calculations, but it wants me to create an account now. Ah, boo. All right, well, that's the end of the rope. I'm not going to do any more. Now you know, If you want to use it, go ahead, but just realize you're going to be limited. And let me tell you, this was not in place when I first started using this. This author got smart and finally put in stuff. I was probably using up a lot of his CPU time occasionally on the servers, and he wasn't happy about it for like one day there. I was hammering that thing pretty good. All right, have a good day. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment, and like and unsubscribe from everybody else's channel, but subscribe to mine. Have a good day. Bye-bye.